Andrew Petro and Tim Bertine, who are also going to be joining me. I lead the portal infrastructure team there. And over the last year, we've been on a journey to redesign our campus enterprise portal. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. But I should, all right, once I, So MyUW-Madison has been the campus enterprise portal for over 14 years, and it serves all of our applicants, students, faculty, and staff, and even former employees for a couple of years. But not only is it the portal for the UW-Madison campus, we are also have a multi-tenant type of installation where we are the portal for all of the other UW system campuses. There's 13 campuses in total. So we've got combined all of our usage through all those portal instances. We've got about 150,000 active users, and we see over 2 billion logins a month. One of the things about our portal is we focused on application integration and kind of aggregating data. So we're not just focusing on static content or links out to other systems. So we're really trying to bring data in. And one of the ways we kind of summarize our portal is we think of it as a secure, reliable, easy to use, and trusted campus resource for delivering personalized information in a flexible and customizable manner. So what is the problem with the portal then? Part of it is we've been a victim of our own success. We've got 10 tabs and over 100 portlets within the portal. Now again, not all of our users see all 10 tabs or all 100 portlets, but we have role-based permissions in place to manage that. But still, all of this information, we've got it organized in what we thought were some kind of domains, not just by departments or roles. But still, as we've organized it, we found that as we continue to add new things, there's always not a great place to put it. So in our case, the services tab alone has over 20 portlets on it. It becomes pretty unmanageable. And some really valuable content then is getting lost amidst the all of these 100 portlets in there. In fact, when we meet with students, we often ask them how they've liked the portal or made use of certain functionality in it, and we've had seniors when we've pointed out some integrations that we have with our course management system and student information system. They'll see that and they'll say, boy, I wish I would have known this was in here 4 years ago. That would have really helped make things easier for me as a student. So there's good content in there that people aren't finding and aren't taking advantage of. So we approached a user experience expert that we happen to have in our division and asked her to help us reorganize the portal so that it would be easier for people to find these things. Well, she took a look at the portal and basically said it was hopeless. And no matter of tweaking or reorganizing was really going to address the problem. So instead of trying to focus on tweaking or improving the portal, we kind of really stepped back, flipped the direction. Instead of looking at the portal, we're looking at what are the tasks, what are the challenges, what are the support needs of our end users, and then how might the portal play a role in that. So the hypothesis that she was working on is that the portal as it stands is confusing to end users. They don't know when to take actions or how to take specific actions. Resources and other pieces of information within the portal is hard to find. The stakeholders have needs that the portal is not effectively addressing, and it's just generally difficult to use. So to verify those kind of findings, she went out and did over 30 user interviews with students, faculty, staff, and advisors, one-on-one interviews to kind of get at the heart of what are you trying to do, what are you trying to do online at campus, and how might we be able to serve you better. She also met with focus groups and went out to meet with other existing groups, like some an advisor user group, different departments who would go in and give presentations and find out what the kind of problems that they were experiencing. The other place where we got information on was looking at some usage stats, and that was one of the enlightening things there that we discovered is that over 15% of the people going to the portal are currently doing it on mobile devices. So that's we recognize that that's a growing need, and we needed to do a better job of meeting those needs. So her findings were, I think the initial hypothesis was proved, and the findings were that it is, confusing and difficult and ineffective the way the portal is currently deployed. So she came up with some specific goals of what we wanted to do in improving the portal. We wanted to implement a new framework and interface that would help simplify and hide the underlying complexities of the digital landscape. We want to decrease the time it takes to complete common tasks. We want to present content that is the most useful and the most relevant to users. We want to increase user awareness of new and existing content. And we want to have a clear plan for addressing how we're going to continue to improve the portal and add new content and address new needs in the future. So with those goals in mind, she came up with these 9 principles that she was going to use as part of this design process and as part of the implementation of the redesign going forward. And pulling out some of the features of the redesign is we're looking at greater personalization based on roles and individual data. We're focusing on current information, going to leverage push notifications to get timely information out to end users. We're taking a mobile-first perspective and using responsive design to then scale out to larger devices. And we're making it a comprehensive location where it's easy to find all the information and resources that you need. And finally, we're looking at always improving. We're not looking at redesigning the portal and then saying we're done and we'll come back in another 5 years and do another redesign. We're looking at this as a new process where we're going to continually improve the portal in an agile fashion and just continue to roll things out. So how do we go about taking this design and getting it implemented? I'm just going to highlight a couple tools that we use. She came up with wireframes to represent the concepts that she was working on in the redesign. She happened to use an online tool called Axure. But she would take these wireframes, hand them over to us, and as we started to implement them, of course, you have questions about trying to understand how this functionality actually really works, or maybe getting some clarification on things. So we started using Trello boards as a way to capture these questions as they arose, things that we wanted to verify and get more information on with her. And then, not only do we just collect the questions, we make sure we schedule time on a regular basis where she would come into the room where the team works and just embed herself and be there for a couple hours at a time, a couple days a week, and they would go through this list of questions, get clarifications, but then also as they continue to do work, maybe something pops up right then, they can just immediately ask her and have a dialogue going forward. And I think it's been pretty effective. But to prove that, we'll just kind of take a look at what we've got so far, and I'll turn it over to Andrew.
Jim, there's a mosquito up here since it's Miami. So if you see anybody going, that's what's going on. There we go. Fantastic. So this is the new design as it exists so far on our pre-dev server, not yet in production. This is built on Responder. It's built on the code in master that will be uPortal 4.1. It looks a whole lot like something you might have in Universality, maybe at first blush, but it's responsive. And so that's demonstrated with the portlets down here, laying out in a row because they have room, and if we squeeze the screen, then they wouldn't. We've got this sidebar, and if you squeeze the screen, then it squeezes out into a little control to launch the menu. So it's a somewhat cleaner look, and it's responsive because it's built on Responder. And it is radically simpler. It's radically fewer portlets on the screen at a time. And you may notice there ain't no tabs. So we're going from maybe 10-ish tabs to 0-ish tabs in Portal. Here we are squeezing the screen a bit. And so we went from this menu taking up space on the left and filling out the horizontal space we have, down to squeezing things in vertically and making them smaller. So ta-da, responsive design. You've got that sidebar menu. This is the new navigation where you're able to get to all the apps. Apparently we're not calling them apps. All the portlets in the system via an app store kind of an experience via the Portlet Marketplace. So that's one place to go get my stuff. And then otherwise, if I've bookmarked portlets, if I've made them my favorite, then I can get at them via favorites. And those are kind of the two mechanisms for getting at stuff in the portal. It's either you bookmarked it so it's a favorite, or you search for it. With search also being at the top of the screen, so you can just search the marketplace to find the. So search as navigation. There's also changes in the design of the actual portlets. So individual portlets becoming maybe less busy, less stuff in them, simpler, cleaner UIs. Each screen trying to do less, and it being more obvious what it is I'm being invited to do on this particular screen that I'm looking at. That's obviously demo data. So instead of tabs and traditional layout, dragging things around, organizing them on the screen, we invented this concept of favorites. You can have collections of favorites. You can have individual favorites. And that's how you bookmark stuff that you want to come back to in the system. It's built on genuine layouts, so DLM applies, so all the layout tricks. It's another view on tabs. Those are tabs. And so a different experience for how you organize this. Instead of dragging tabs along the top and that kind of experience, instead you can pop into edit mode on your favorites and remove favorites and rearrange favorites. And under the hood it's using DLM, so all the DLM fanciness applies. I don't know about you, but maybe sometimes the DLM fanciness is just a little too fancy, too complicated, maybe. So this UI does not fully upfront reflect all the fanciness of DLM in terms of precedence, and you can reorder things in some orders but not other orders. We made kind of a best efforts UI on that. We kind of don't tend to use those features anyway, and if you somehow tweak the UI into an impermissible state, it'll get zapped on the save and reload cycle through the layout. So not too much of a problem there. And then, of course, contextually, when you're looking at a thing, you found a thing, you searched for a thing in the marketplace, you found it, you liked it, maybe you want to be able to come back to it. Of course, you can go ahead and pay. That's the new navigation menu. So without further ado, talk about that marketplace. Since you no longer have this giant layout with 10 tabs with everything already in it, it's very important to have a marketplace, be able to find things that you want and get to them.
Yep, thanks, Andrew. Tim Bertine, a former student at UW, now working there. So anecdotally, when I was a student, I didn't know the customized store existed. And then also anecdotally, it took me 3 months working on the portal to figure out that you could search within the customized door by categories. Anecdotally is a very confusing system. So the way things get in the portal now at the UW is somebody says, I want to have a portlet at the top left on your welcome screen. I want people to see it, I want people to know it's there. So a way to kind of get around this now with our new design is having a marketplace. So the marketplace is going to reward people that have great content. So if we look at the portlet marketplace right here, you'll see a list of portlets, just like in the customized store. For us at UW, we're not going to have that customized store anymore. This will be how people search for content and how people get content. You'll see here that there is a search bar. That's a dynamic search that will automatically filter based on the columns that you see there, and also on keywords and descriptions of the portlet. You'll see a featured category. Portlets right now have categories. So if you apply the featured category, which is just a string, it'll pop up in this featured area. You also see a browse by area. There's categorically, there's ways you can find portlets. So you'll see ratings later on. You'll see use cases. You also notice on the bottom, pagination. That's Twitter Bootstrap's pagination being used right with data tables. Here's a list. Here's a screen of the categories. So clicking that category button shows a list of the categories, which I think is a little bit easier than the customized category. Smorgasbord of everything there. Each portlet is going to have its own entry page. So by default, there's a portlet definition file for every portlet. We're going to scrape that page, and then we're presenting the data. By adding a few more fields, such as screenshots, we'd have screenshots in the marketplace, but not necessary. So you'll see that there is a title, there's a description. It's going to force content owners to make a better description. Some of our descriptions now in our portal is the word null. So that should get a little bit better. There are ratings. Users can come now and they can rate the portlet, so they can let us know what's working for them, what's not working for them. It'll be another way that we can rank portlets, so we can get the portlets that users want to them faster. There's a review section. You can leave a review. Maybe you don't like a color scheme. Maybe you don't like a feature. You can let us know. There also is a Go button in the top right corner of the entry page. This contextual menu's got a few items, such as I want to use the portlet right now. I want to link to it. As an advisor, I want to go to Marketplace. I want to find a portlet, and I want to give a student a direct link. This is the portlet I want you to use. Here's the link. You can see the top link is a long link. The link's directly in. Or you can see a short link, useful for social media. There's also integrated options with the marketplace. So every time you're using a portlet, you'll see in the options menu, rate this portlet. And that, of course, ties into your rating in the entry page. So clicking that link will pop up a Bootstrap portal right in the middle of your screen. You're invited to rate the portlet. Back to Jim.
So we're making some really pretty good progress on it. We focused on some of those, newer features of the redesigned portal, the favorites, and the marketplace. Those are also the most visible, so we've been able to actually get this stuff out and get it in front of some of our advisory group and start getting some comment on it. Hopefully we'll get even more organized user testing around it a little bit later this summer. We're hoping to go into a beta mode this fall. Right now, this is in our pre-development environment, where it was the only place where we deployed this so far. It's running in parallel with our current theme and layouts and such. So the plan is that we're going to be able to actually move this into production, have this new version, this redesigned portal, running at the same time, the same code base with our current portal. Will just give you a different, give users a tool on how they can kind of go and check out the beta, or we'll have a specific URL that they can go to, and they go to that, they log in, they'd be in the beta mode. So this fall, we hope to actually have people in production trying out the beta version of the redesign. Then sometime in early 2015, we will then switch and have the beta version be the default version that people see when they log into the portal. I think one of the other things that we really didn't highlight as much here, maybe I'll this notifications are going to be a key part of our portal as well. Again, we're trying to push out some timely information into the portal. And in our redesign, the notifications are going to play a prominent role on the landing page when you log into the portal. There's just, right now we probably have a half dozen portlets that are just small little portlets, simple content portlets that we throw up at various times to get users to take actions that they need to take. But they're just regular portlets, part of the regular layout. But we're going to replace those now with this notification system that's going to be receiving special treatment. But that's a whole separate project, putting together some infrastructure to really support that and allow applications to start sending notifications into the portal. So that's another kind of key component that we're doing as part of this. So I don't know if there are any questions. That's all the prepared content we have. Yes?
Favorite is a big change in terms of the use of the portal. And my question is, will you teach your user how to favorite a portlet? Or do you think that they will do this by their own and know how?
Hopefully. So the question was, I'll paraphrase, what kind of training might we have to include as part of this rollout? Well, hopefully by having this user experience expert with us from the get-go and really driving this, we will not need a lot of training. I mean, hopefully it is intuitive. I think if you look at the idea of favorites, the idea of the marketplace, these are paradigms that are already out there in many applications. So by adopting those, hopefully it is a bit more intuitive to people. We have also talked about the idea of using chalk mark techniques to actually, when the user logs in for the first time, kind of having those little pop-up things saying, hey, you can do this here, you can do that here, kind of that embedded tutorial type of thing that some people find helpful and some people find annoying. But again, that's another paradigm that you're starting to see it. Google uses it to try to educate people on new functionality.
Absolutely. I think, in fact, one of the things we're looking for this conference is if others have experience rolling out significantly changed experiences and have some experiences to share on how you manage that change. We're particularly looking for anybody who's done that chalk mark technique on uPortal, because it turns out there are some interesting technical challenges in doing that. But yes, I think you're exactly right. That the intention is that it becomes more usable so that less training. We have this massive knowledge base, which is fantastic. I mean, everybody, knowledge base articles are a fine thing, but there has been a little bit of reflection on, if we made it more intuitive and usable, then maybe we wouldn't have to point people at a knowledge base article to tell them.
Well, what's the plan when you guys release this out? Because right now, based on groups, you see different tabs, right? Is the goal to have all of those portlets now on the front page, or to redirect them to the App Store, or where they can now add their own?
Yeah. So favorites is using DLM layout. So we have the technical capability to default your favorites in interesting ways.
Okay.
It's a little weird, that idiom, to tell people what their favorites are. So I think we may want to use that with some nuance. And maybe it fits into, we've talked a little bit about an onboarding process along with the chalk marks, but maybe interviewing the user, or at least walking them through what we're doing to them in terms of defaulting their favorite.
Yeah. And so like you talked about different roles for different things. So the marketplace respects those roles. So if you don't have the ability to add something, it's not going to appear in the marketplace for you. There's also a browse permission that we've invented too. So maybe there is something that you can use, but maybe we don't want you to see the entry page for it. Maybe it's a little boring, like the portal admin portlet. So that eliminates that from the marketplace. So if everything still respects your roles and just works.
That's worth emphasizing, I think. Because at least for me, that really, I was taken aback by that requirement that we would need users to be able to be aware of functionality that they're not actually permitted to use. But the intention there is to make it easier to understand what's in the portal and what's available to other users, and what maybe you ought to have access to, but you don't, and you ought to go bother somebody about. So we've separated the permission that allows you to subscribe and use functionality, which is technically called subscribe. There's a new permission called browse, which is the permission that allows you to see an app in the marketplace. So now it's totally sane to say that you can see something in the marketplace, but you're not actually permitted to use it because it's not intended for you. And we can also say the other thing, which is really important, that we have functionality in the portal. It doesn't have marketplace entry, or at least you can't see that entry, because it's the welcome message portlet or some administrative thing that makes absolutely no sense for you to see. And so there's kind of that under the hood improvement in uPortal 4.1 as well.
And we're leveraging that permissioning so that we're going to be giving the group guest or everyone or something like that browse permission on almost all the entries in the marketplace. By doing that, and by creating a separate servlet that will serve up those marketplace entries, we're actually exposing all of this content to Google. So that now, another way that people are trying to find things on campus is just using the Google search appliance. So now these marketplace entries in the portal will be exposed to search engines as well. So now they'll just be able to find it right along the other content.
Along with encouraging sharing links, right? That's another kind of nuance of the UI, that you can grab a attractive tiny URL to the marketplace entry. Even if, back to that, you might not actually have permission to use that functionality, but your students might. And so if you are in the situation of needing to give someone a link to here's the answer to your problem, here's the thing you need to go use, we're making it, highlighting in the UI the ability to grab URLs that are reusable across users, that are item-potent, I think is the technical word.
Yes?
What happens to your sidebar have smaller breakpoints?
Let's do it.
I see. You want to really do it. So
well, certainly showing this is the first part of that answer. So that sidebar turned into that little thing at the upper left. Our designer's not totally thrilled with that, nor should she, in terms of where that is located and how that works. So I think that's going to get further tweaked. So exactly how the sidebar collapses, I think, is definitely a work in progress. But we could demo that live against pre-dev if you wanted, Jim. It at least does something.
While I get that going, are there any other?
We should mention that we're going to be doing live demos at the tech showcase this evening, so it does look better with a glass or two of wine. So that's in context for that. In the back first.
When you're doing this group focus and talking to the students, have you started to consider what kind of communications you're going to put out? I assume, from my understanding, the data you're not going to actually migrate any data, or you're going to try to, because it's completely different.
Oh, see, this is fancy. So the beta and the prod are the same server against the same database with the same data. And you, an end user, can opt in and out fluidly all day long. And because while Favorites uses DLM layouts, it uses a separate folder type. So kind of never the twain shall meet. And you can continue to customize Favorites and customize your traditional layout all day long, and both of the data sets are respected. And so in terms of managing that rollout, we anticipate a period where it is opt-in, and we're not totally clear on what set of users it's opt-in for, whether that's everybody, or whether we can please restrict that a lot initially. I would like that. But anyway, there's a UI for opting in and out. So if you're in the traditional portal and you have the ability, then there's a little thing in the upper left that says, hey, you want to try the beta, click here. And we pop you over to the beta. It's a separate profile in uPortal, so you get a separate theme, separate skin. And then because of the way that we're using layout under that profile, you get, while you technically get the same layout, you don't see any of the stuff in the layout that you're not supposed to see.
So your beta is still running against the prod database?
Yes, I mean, this functionality is not yet in prod, but the intention is that it will all be one database, that there is no data migration as such. There's no loss of data that, at some point when we flop over and you don't have your layout anymore, then you don't have it anymore. It's not useful,
right.
But that.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's pretty key that they're just separate profiles. So there's even a link with a portlet right there that says how to switch back and forth. So same thing, and you can use them together.
We anticipate probably doing the obvious thing where if you're in beta and you hit the get me out, I hate this, get me back to normal, ask them to please tell us why so that we can learn from that. That's a pretty common thing to do. You're showing the squeezing.
Yeah, once you hit a certain breakpoint, then that sidebar menu becomes a hamburger menu up at the top corner.
Is it actually moving region?
So technically under the hood, that content is in 2 different regions so that we can do that trick. So it is a little sort of kind of ugly under the hood, maybe. That does give us an ability to style it a little differently depending on which way you're getting at it, whether it's pervasively in the lab. Hey, Jim, you want to pull up the marketplace and do that same squeezing? Another interesting thing, besides the whole thing being responsive, thanks to Tim Bertine's excellent efforts, the marketplace itself is also responsive. And this is mostly okay because we anticipate to only ever render it maximized, so it always gets the whole width and doesn't get confused. And so as long as the portlet's getting the whole width, then your traditional bootstrap, is it traditional already? It's so new. Your traditional bootstrap responsiveness totally applies. And so as you saw there, whether we show the description changes, the arrangement of things changes a bit as you squeeze the marketplace itself.
And it's also important to note, using that technology of data tables, the columns that disappear are still searchable. So they're still on the page, but they're not just being shown. So if you're going to search for description now, search for anything that's in the description, you can still get that. So there's no lack of user loss.
So we anticipate getting more value out of those descriptions, out of categories, right? That by having a compelling UI where you get something for having good descriptions and categories, we expect the data is going to prove to take advantage of that. Yes?
How many CSS breakpoints have you for the marketplace?
For the marketplace, there are 2. It's following the Bootstrap's large, medium, small, extra small thing. So I think there's one at medium, and I think there might be one at small. So,
Thank you.
yep.
We like Bootstrap. I think, as for what we're doing, we're kind of going this direction of embracing just going ahead and using Bootstrap in portlets. I think that's mostly working out well.
And much of this that we've done is being donated back to the core project. So
The marketplace is up in uPortal 4.1. Favorites is in 4.1. The weird favorites add-on that I've been working on to allow it to be Google searched is in a feature branch because it's half baked, but it's going up in there.
I wonder if the user studies that you did, if any of that data is shared.
I think it'd be. I'm sure we can share a lot of what we have. A lot of it, is in these one-on-one interviews. So I'm not sure what format she has that in, but I can try to look at getting that out. If you, I think, if you, actually some of this may, okay, so I'm not logged in. So looks like the public can actually get to our wiki page where a lot of this information is being collected. And then we do have kind of the little promotional page also that it's just kind of our user-facing little bit of advertising we're doing around the redesign. So there is some information there, and we intend to have more of that be available. And here's actually a recording of one of the presentations that we did where we started to go out and talk with other groups about the redesign that we're doing on campus. So that's another resource that you can potentially find something that we'll look at trying to post up more of our information that we have regarding our user studies here. Well, if there's no more questions, thanks for attending, and come check us out at the tech demo tonight. And hang around and chat Wednesday afternoon. Thanks, folks.